My old stalker is back, and my husband is making me feel like I'm the crazy one. Hi, sorry this is my first time writing in and I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to jump in. I'm using a throwaway because I'm sure my actual account is being watched. Also fake names. So I, 32 female, and my husband, 33 male, have been arguing a lot recently over my old stalker. For some background, back in college, I was 24, I dated a guy, let's call him Fred, for around 2 months. Fred was interesting, to say the least. To save time, he had several red flags once we started dating, so I dumped him. Fred acted like he couldn't care less, so I thought that was that. A few months go by, and I'm starting to see Fred everywhere. I see him at the grocery store I go to, my go-to nail place, my favorite restaurants, etc. I thought it was just a weird coincidence, so I left it at that. A year after our breakup, he starts messaging me, telling me he was the happiest with me and that he misses me so much. I called bullshit and I blocked him. Then things escalated. Fred changed numbers every time I blocked him, made new social media accounts, and I started seeing his car everywhere. I tried getting a restraining order against Fred, but since he hadn't done anything to me, they couldn't do anything. A few months later, I was walking in my car at night. Fred coincidentally saw me walking alone and offered me a ride home. I said no, that I had my own car, and I kept walking. Fred proceeded to get out of his car and tried pushing me into his car. I punched him and ran in my car.
Hell yeah.
I drove away, and luckily, he didn't follow. I tried again to get a restraining order, but it was basically his word against mine. They gave me a temporary restraining order, but that's it. I was terrified of even walking outside and deleted all my socials. Thankfully, a very close friend, let's call him Pete, stepped in to defend me. Pete ended up threatening Fred, and I finally stopped hearing from Fred. I felt free and slowly got back into my normal life. Now to present day. I'm now married to my husband. I've graduated from college and live alone with my husband. We moved to a nearby city and bought a house together. Sadly, a month ago, Pete died during his sleep, and I was absolutely devastated. I've known Pete since I was in high school, and he was my closest friend. To be honest, I'm still not over his death, and sometimes I can't believe he's gone. But guess who heard about his death? That's right, folks. Fred found out and is now back. I received texts from Fred a few days after Pete died. I now see him everywhere, and he's insisting that we talk. I just walk away and ignore him. I've reported him, but nothing has happened, so I deleted my socials again. Friends have been telling me Fred has been asking around about me. He's asked if I moved, what I am doing lately, if I have other social media accounts, etc. I'm honestly terrified. I've moved since I finished college, but somehow I see him at my gym, grocery store, park, etc. It honestly makes me believe he never stopped watching me, and it's terrifying.
Ew.
I've told my husband about everything, and he says I'm overreacting or just plain ignores my concerns and changes the subject. I've argued that he doesn't care, and he argues back, asking what do I expect him to do? He says that Fred doesn't know where we live and that we'll just change gyms. My husband is telling me to change my regular routine and stop going to certain places. He says it's no big deal and Fred is harmless. I'm like, Fred tried to force me into his car. How is that harmless? My husband has been distant ever since this started, and I feel alone. I don't want to tell my friends in fear they will tell Fred. I can't go to my family because I'm in no contact with them. And of course, my husband could not care less. I need advice. What do I do? Am I crazy? Should I just change my gym and my routine like how my husband says? Part of me just wants to move completely, but another part is basically asking myself, why do I have to uproot my life and change everything because of him? Can't he just leave me alone? It's been like 10 years already, and I want to move on from this. Should I just talk to Fred hoping he'll finally leave me alone?
No.
So we do get an update.
I'm stressed about this update, actually.
Yeah. So this update came a day later. Small update and some information about my stalker situation. I'm still new to posting on Reddit, so for the first part of my post, it should be on my account. My friends don't talk to Fred, and they are aware of the situation. Fred has reached out to them randomly asking about me. They have reported and blocked him as well. Now for the update. Last night, I decided to have a serious conversation with my husband one last time. I sat down with him and explained the whole situation again. Told him how scared I've been and that he needs to take this seriously. I wanted to show him how terrified I was, how small I've been made to feel, not just by Fred, but also him, how his lack of support and concern for my own safety is making me question our marriage. I asked if he'd even do anything if I was found in a ditch. That is sad that you have to say that.
Yeah.
He was silent the whole time while looking at the floor. We sat in silence for a few minutes before I got up to pack my things. My husband proceeded to cry. He apologized and said he'd make this right.
Good.
He said he didn't want to overreact in fear of scaring me more, but when in reality, it made me feel alone. My husband has been looking into Fred without my knowledge and has found out where he works, lives, and even Fred's family contact info. He wanted to gather more information about Fred before contacting a lawyer. Update number 2. Wasn't sure if I should make an update, but decided to anyways to maybe get some more advice. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice and encouragement. I finished listening to the book, The Gift of Fear, and it really opened my eyes to a lot. Now, on to the update. After my husband didn't find anything in my car, I still felt something wrong, so I took people's advice and took my car to a mechanic. Told the mechanic about my situation and if he could take a look at my car. And to my horror, a couple of days later, my mechanic found a small little cube that was placed under my car. At first, I really wanted to believe it was just a part of my car or something, but my mechanic explained that it wasn't, and it was deliberately hidden. The cube is really small and magnetic. I called my lawyer right then and told them everything. I got pictures of the GPS and where it was placed. I thanked the mechanic and drove to my lawyer's office. At this point, I was shaking and wanted to cry. How long had the GPS been there?
Mm-hmm.
How long has Fred been following me without me knowing? Was he watching me at that moment? Is he going to add another one? I called my husband to meet me at the lawyer's office and told him everything. At the office, I just wanted to disappear. I wanted to run away and not look back. I was terrified and I felt so violated.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing I was being watched for who knows how long, with everything we had gathered, my lawyer was able to get a temporary restraining that same day.
Thank God.
We are currently going through the process of getting a restraining order while I will have to go to court and see Fred again.
That sucks.
My lawyer says the process can be long and draining, but it's something I need to do to get for my own safety. I got a bit scared and had my husband's car also checked for anything. Thankfully, nothing was found in his car. I started feeling watched at home, so I had my whole house turned upside down looking for anything. Maybe Fred had places there. Again, thankfully, nothing was found. I've told neighbors about what we found and to keep an eye out for anyone suspicious. I've also started my safety training for handling a gun and shooting and still trying to get my CCW, but it can be a long process. Thank you again for everyone who has given me advice, and I'll keep you updated if Creepy Fred tries anything. Wow. Wow.
That sucks that she has to do all of that.
Am I the asshole for liking my husband's receptionist selfies? I, 28 female, moved with my husband Tony, 30 male, from a beautiful mountain city to what honestly feels like bumfuck nowhere in Illinois so he could take a promotion. He's always been very work-oriented, and that was something I admired about him when we first met. So I agreed to support him and move. After the move, I struggled. I have 2 toddlers, I'm socially awkward, and it's hard for me to meet new people. The only people I knew here were a younger couple. Lauren, 24 female, and Matt, 25 male, who moved with us because Matt works directly under my husband. Lauren and I were friendly, though not super close. One day, Lauren reached out because she thought I should know something. Apparently, Tony had set up a little lunch spot on the roof at work, a canopy, blanket, the whole thing. But instead of eating up there alone, like he had told me, he was up there every day with his 22 female receptionist, Becky.
That's suspicious.
Lauren even sent me Becky's Instagram so I could see for myself. That's when I noticed Tony not only followed her, but had gone through and liked all of her selfies. That stung because he'd completely left out that part about her joining him for lunch every day. On top of that, she's supposed to be answering his phones, not picnicking on the roof. So it felt ... fishy. Fishy enough for Matt to notice and for Lauren to feel like I should know. I decided not to be mad at Becky. For all I knew, she didn't even know I existed, which didn't feel impossible since when I once stopped by his work, some of his coworkers seemed shocked to learn he was even married. So I came up, red flag, huge. So I came up with an idea. If Tony is liking all of her selfies, then I'd go through and like those same exact posts. No comments, no follow requests, nothing else, just the same likes. My thinking was that she would notice, click on my profile, and realize Tony has a wife and children. That way, if anything shady was going on, she'd know I was aware. If it was innocent, maybe she'd just think I was weird for checking her out. Either way, I knew she would tell Tony. Well, Tony blew up at me. He called saying I could cost him his job with drama. He insisted nothing inappropriate was happening and that I was overreacting. But to me, it felt backward. Actually sleeping with your receptionist would be what loses you your job, not your wife liking a couple of Instagram posts. Now he says I'm being dramatic, invasive, and unprofessional, and that I embarrassed him. But from my perspective, he lied by omission, downplayed his daily lunches with Becky, and made it seem like he was up there alone. So Reddit, am I the asshole for liking his receptionist's Instagram selfies?